Hi everyone! Everyone's very welcome here tonight with us. Hello?
Okay, I would like to start saying thank you for all you Brazilians who are here and to give us support in this night, because we know that for now we don't have people from outside watching this live stream, but of course the live stream will stay, and the news from Brazil will stay here forever, and we believe that in some time we will reach people from outside Brazil and we will be able to deliver our message to the world. So thank you for supporting us tonight.
That'd be nice. I'm looking forward to. So, let's get started. Let me see here. I. Just one second. Here. CNJ determines that TRF4 judge provide information on a complaint of suspicion made by Tecla Duran. Lauracy took over the rulership of Lava Jato, even prevented by the law, since he is the brother of the delegate who acted in the operation and even made the coercive conduct of Lula. Go.
Yeah, okay. I believe that everybody who is watching us know the operation Lava Jato in Brazil, what means car wash, that was supposed to be created to fight against corruption. But now we know from investigations that Lava Jato was the corruption scheme in Brazil, was not fighting corruption, but was the biggest corruption scheme in Brazil. And Tacla Duran is the one of those guys who gave a message of corruption, because there was an extortion process in Lava Jato and Tacla Duran was victimized. He was obligated to pay around 1 million of real units, our currency, to be free from prison. And what Lava Jato operation was doing was to ask people to give money to judges, to give money to prosecutors, so the people can stay outside prison. That was not a fight against corruption. They were fighting for the money of corruption. And Tacla Duran went to Spain, where he stayed as Spanish because he has dual nationalities, and he stayed in Spain as Spanish, waiting for this time to give his message about the judge Moro, who was extorting people during Operation Lava Jato. And now what we have is that Tacla Duran is trying to give his what he has to say to the Supreme Court in Brazil. We have instances of the judiciary power, and even though Tacla Duran is supposed to give his speech in the first instance, now he wants to talk to the highest level, which is the Brazilian Supreme Court, so he can stay safe. Because the problem in Brazil are the judges. The problem in Brazil is the justice, which is corrupted, and the justice in Brazil wants to silence Tacla Duran, and now he's trying everything to give out of this huge problem. And one thing that is happening now is that Supreme Court and the Council of Justice is asking the first level of justice and the second level of justice about what is happening with Tacla Duran, because he is arguing suspicion. So the second level of the justice with is the TR4 will not be able to have power over him. The problem is, even with the Supreme Court saying that Tacla Duran cannot be put on jail, the first level of the justice and the second level of the justice want to send Tacla Duran to prison to silence him. And now we have a fight established in the justice in Brazil. The fourth region is the TRF4 is doing its own law, not the Brazilian law. It has, and here in Brazil, we used to say Curitiba Republic because we consider the tier of 4 as a new republic inside Brazilian Republic because they do their laws and they are not as they supposed to be under Brazilian laws, but they don't just do their laws. And because of that, they were able to put Lula in prison. Because of that, they were able to destroy the left party. And because of that, that Bolsonaro became president of Brazil in 2018. And now let's see what will happen in the future. But for now, what we have is Tacla Duran is trying to give his speech to the Supreme Court in Brazil to not be obligated to stay under TRF4, which is the problem of Brazilian justice.
So let's talk about what Welson Gonçalves just told us. Tacla Duran is a Brazilian criminal allied with the Brazilian left. What do you think about that?
Tacla Duran is a Brazilian criminal allied with the Brazilian left. It's a very good question, but of course, Welson Gonçalves is giving as affirmation. Of course, Tacla Duran needs to be allied to the Brazilian left because what the Brazilian right wing wanted to do is to put Tacla Duran in jail and asked Tacla Duran for 5 million Brazilian units of money to give him the permission to stay at home. So if Tacla Duran is a criminal, is something that the justice needs to establish. We need a prosecution over Tacla Duran. I'm not here to say that Tacla Duran is an angel or something like that. I'm here to say that Tacla Duran has many things to say, and what Tacla Duran is going to say here in Brazil is important for us to understand corruption inside the justice. But if Tacla Duran is a criminal, the fact of Tacla Duran is giving information about the crime inside the justice is very important for us. These are two things that we need to find out. One, is Tacla Duran a criminal? If Tacla Duran is a criminal, he needs to pay for his crimes. But another thing is, what Tacla Duran has to say is important. If what Tacla Duran has to say is important, the fact of Tacla Duran be or not be a criminal doesn't make difference if what he's going to say is important for us to understand corruption inside justice. What I want now is to see the high level of the problem, because when we have corruption inside justice, we have a corruption that may affect 200 millions of people. But if Tacla Duran just dies after what he has to say, after saying what he has to say, nobody apart his family will care. But if the justice keeps being what the justice is today, of course, entire Brazil will pay for that. So what we need to establish now is Tacla Duran saying the truth when he says that Lava Jato was a corruption inside corruption? If yes, we need to find a way to punish those people inside justice who are promoting corruption.
So let's keep it going for tonight. Federal Policy, PF, searched the house of those involved in the attacks on Moraes and family. A policy investigation was initiated with the aim of investigating accusations of aggression, threat, injury, and defamation.
This is very important to Brazil because everybody knows, and if you don't know, I'm going to explain to you right now. What happened was a member of Brazilian Supreme Court suffered an attack inside Rome airport. And this attack was a political attack. And because it was a political attack, it needs to be considered as an attack to the Federal Republic of Brazil. And because of that, it needs to be treated with very care. In the past, we had attacks like this, and using attacks like this, the people on the street were able to deploy the Brazilian president, were able to do a state coup that delivered us, Brazilian, a very big bill to pay today. So what we need to consider now is this is an investigation that needs to be promoted, because what we need to find out is not only about these attacks, but what is behind those people that delivered the attack. Are they the supporters of the try of Q, state Q of the 8th of January? Because today we're trying to establish who was behind, supporting with money the people that destroyed the public buildings in Brazil. And another point is showing that no one is over the law is very important for now, because those people, they think that they can do anything, because in Brazil we used to think that rich people can do wherever they want, but showing to those people that it doesn't work like that. If they keep doing wrong things, they will be punished. We can establish a new moment in law in Brazil, a moment where even rich cattle like those can be punished by the justice.
That's a nice thought to have. I hope you're right. But
I believe that. I want to use this pause to say thank you to some people here. First, thank you, Ana Jacinta, who says good night. Thank you, Maria Socorro, in Brazilian Portuguese, who says boa noite, pessoal. Good night, people. And Alcir Jr., good night. Boa noite, good night, Alcir. Maria Socorro says, good night, my dear Leo. And Alcir from Rio de Janeiro is known worldwide. Ivana Panhotta, good evening, my left friends. Brazil, Brazil, and Brazil again. Maria Socorro, boa noite, minha linda Alana Neves. Good night, my beautiful Alana Neves. Or beautiful or pretty? Which one is the correct?
anyway, doesn't matter.
Ninha
Same thing.
Meirelles
Right.
say good night, and thank you. Choco Print BR says hi. Maria Socorro, thanks God, Aninha has arrived. I'm so sorry, but I must go to sleep. See you tomorrow. Thank you for staying here.
Yeah.
Maria Socorro, Aninha, minha linda, solta teu inglês. Thank you, voice from Brazil. This is the time when I arrived. So I will read some more later. Now let's go to next news. Go on, Alana. You were the
Sure.
one who do the
Sorry.
news here.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is a nice one. Roberto Campos Neto is a financial terrorist in the service of Bolsonarism, said Jefferson Miola. The statement of the TV 247 analysis come in the wake of 2% drop in the Central Bank Economic Activity Index, IBCBR, for the month of May.
Yeah, this is a very strong problem we have today in Brazil, because we have the president of central bank in Brazil, as Miola said, a financial terrorist, and the reason is because this guy is keeping the interest rate very high, and he says that is to lower the inflation. But now we are going to a spiral of deflation and no economic growth at all, because people will not put money in the economy if the central bank is offering high interest rates. And in Brazil, we don't have inflation connected to the high offer of money. Normally, what you do is when you have people with money on their pockets, in their pockets, and trying to buy things, but the market don't have things to offer, the prices will rise, and because of that, you put higher interest rates so people will not buy things. What they will do is to put money on bank. But now we don't have people with money to ask people to keep their money on banks. What we need now is people putting money on the market. Is exactly the other direction the central bank is doing in Brazil. But the explanation is that this guy, the president of the central bank, is not just an idiot. What he's doing is he's keeping high interest rate because himself and his friends, his group is making money with that. We have in Brazil a kind of problem with um, the public money who goes to those guys in interest rates for the public. Uh,
They are
just
probably they are probably investor.
Yes,
Uh,
the problem is the money the public owns to to the people.
they live out they live out of their investment, so they, if they keep the interest high enough, they make a lot of money for
Yes,
themselves and their besties.
yes, that's the point. They keep the interest high not because they're going to control inflation. They keep the interest high because those are the ones who uh, loan money to the government. So the high interest rates for them is very interesting. So today we have a financial terrorist, and the difficult point today is to show this to the population, because when something becomes very difficult for the population to understand, we have problems like this. And to explain, the point is, before Bolsonaro, we had a model where the president of the central bank was chosen by the president of Brazil. But now, with Bolsonaro in power, they were able to change the constitution so the central bank, went independent and liberal. So this central
And
bank, which is controlled by the market, is not being controlled to put the market making money, but just the guys who loan the money for the governments. And this financial terrorist needs to
the
get
public
out of the central bank.
the public debts get higher and higher, right?
Sorry?
The public debt gets higher and higher.
Yes, the public debt gets higher and higher. This is the word I was trying to reach that time. The public debt is getting higher and higher because if you put the rate very high, interest rate very high, and those people who are keeping the interest rate very high, they loan money to the government, they are going to keep the government, the Brazilian population, through the government, working for them. So what they are doing now is they are indirectly making us slaves.
Yes, we need urgently a public debt auditory. That's for sure. So let's keep going to the next one. This one, sure. Cia would have spied on conversations of Lula, Dilma, Rafael Correa, Cristina Kirchner, and José Mujica. According to investigation, the name CIA appears several times on the external hard drive of the computer of the Spanish security company UC Global SL of businessman David Morales. That's
Yeah, that's very interesting
so
because
messed up.
uh, we from the left, not all the left, but some people in the left, uh, some journalists on the left, they used to say that we had a problem of CIA doing spy in Brazil, the United States exercising the empire power over Brazil. But we had a strong problem that some people just believe that this is a conspiracy theory. And now we have, each time we have more arguments to say that, okay, we need to consider the United States as an empire who doesn't want good things to our countries. We need to run our countries not as enemies of United States, but understanding United States not as a partner that will give us the power to establish our industry. What they want for us is that we behave as colonies, just supplying commodities and stuff like that. So the proof that United States is always trying to interfere in other economies and other countries, they came. They came every time, and they come every time they come more, and some of them are there. We need to look at the United States as a country that does not provide responsible behavior over other countries. And that's a very strong point to show to our influencers, to show to our journalists, so they don't consider this as conspiracy theory. But anyway, we will keep trying to do that, but it's not easy.
Okay. Boric urges Latin America's leader to condemn Russia for unacceptable empire war. According to the Chilean president, Russia violates international law. He also criticized Nicaragua. The audacity.
But the point is that the NATO wants the Latin America to stay with NATO. It's a very interesting point. That is, okay, NATO doesn't want Latin America to have the power of NATO, doesn't want to be connected with Latin America, doesn't want Latin America to have a chair in between the powers of the world, but what they want us just to stay against Russia. But today, what Brazil and other countries in Latin America believe is that, okay, even though Russia was the aggressor, when you look to the facts, and that was the one that declared war, we believe that Ukraine and NATO have many things to do with this war. And it starts
Oh, they
when
have their share. They have their share. That's for sure.
they have their share. So, one thing that we need to consider today is when Ukraine decided to become a base for NATO, Ukraine, of course, put Russia in danger. So, Russia needs to think that, oh, or I will declare war now, or I will have to declare war against NATO. So, today, Brazil is not going to this direction. Of course, they want Brazil and other Latin American countries to be with them against Russia, but we have the power of neutrality. We can stay neutral because we don't have any benefits of staying in one side or another, but we do have many benefits from staying neutral and keep contact and business with all the countries of the world. No side is needed for us at all.
To be honest, I don't even know why NATO still exists. NATO was created because the US I forgot how
Yeah, of
how to
course,
say that.
we can look to
It
NATO
doesn't
as
even have a
the
point of
United States
existence.
Army, because it's
Anyway,
just funny when you think that NATO, but it's the United States Army. It's like, okay, uh, it's just when you
and
think
yes,
that you have a share on a company and your share represents nothing, you don't have power of decision. The only thing you can do for that company is work for them. The only thing the other countries can do in NATO is just to support the United States. So there's no NATO.
and
There,
of
there is the
course,
United States.
if someday Mexico start to build nuclear weapons right beside the United States wouldn't do nothing. He was just gonna chill. Uh,
This point is
Interesting,
very
bro.
interesting because we were close to a nuclear war when Cuba received nuclear missiles from Russia, which was Soviet Union that time. Because of that, we still have Cuba suffering from the United States, suffering from embargoes and other problems from the United States. The same thing that happened with Cuba that time, which was to receive here in America nuclear weapon from United States enemy, they're trying to do with Ukraine. right now. They want Ukraine to receive nuclear weapon from NATO, from the United States, just beside Russia, but they don't want Russia to respond to the problem as United States would respond to the problem of Cuba if Russia has not take out the missiles from Cuba. So it's like the two sides of the same coin are very different, and this is what is happening right now. But the mainstream media wants to be with the United States because the truth doesn't need to be delivered. What needs to be delivered is what
Yeah,
represents the interest of the richer. So they will keep
they
with the
always do
United
that.
States.
Okay, this one. Almost done, everyone. PSOL's dominant wings criticize Lula and governability at any cost. Entitled Por PSOL Popular, the text to be delivered to the Congress of the acronym also defends a posture of activist solidarity in relation to the Lula government.
Yeah, here in Brazil, we have the system which is the presidency, the democratic presidency, and the president doesn't have the power of a prime minister. He needs to be always working together with the parliament. And here in Brazil, we have many kinds of laws. And to change the constitution, for example, we need a very high number of people from the House of Commons and from the Senate, yeah, and senators. So the point is, some people in the left wing they think that Lula cannot be together with some parties from the center, and some people from the left wing, from the Lula government, understand that to have governmentality, to have the power to govern, Lula needs to agree with those people in the center spectrum. The No one is wrong as no one is right. The point is what can Lula do without the parliament? So this is just a reflection. And PSOL is a small left-wing party, of course, very important, but a small left-wing party which thinks that the majority of PSOL thinks that Lula cannot do business with the central.
No, he should become a dictator, right? Like you
Yeah,
said.
the only escape from that is to become a dictatorship.
A
So
great idea, isn't it?
it's very difficult because PSOL is able to play with ideology for the ideal world, but Lula is living in the real world. In the real world, of course, you need to negotiate. It's not just to go and say, "Okay, I won for the president, so I need to run." It's not that easy. So uh, as it's very difficult. This is just a reflection because it's very difficult to stay in the side of PSOL because the only
Yeah, you
escape
can do
from
it.
parliament is dictatorship.
I'd really like to finish with this new right here. I really like it. Lula said, 21st, 21st century will be the century of Brazil's true independence, says Lula. For the president, the progress of the climate agenda is a crucial opportunity for Brazil to promote its independence from an economic, social, and geopolitical standpoint.
Yeah,
I thought that was
it's
beautiful.
very important to say to the rest of the world that we never had our independence because we were always under the power of an empire. Of course, the empire who have run the Brazil after the fake independence was first the England and later the United States. They have even is not only something that come from the mind, but they have plans and they have rules to run Brazil and all other Latin countries. But now, if we run, of course, if we run our ambiental agenda, environmental agenda, and if we run the industrial growth in Brazil, we can consider being really independent. That's something that Lula dream, and of course Brazilians dream as well. And I believe that even the the right wing spectrum in Brazil believes that Brazil independent will be better for all Brazilians. But let's see how we will do that, because it's not that easy.
No, it's not, but we're getting somewhere. That's for sure. Let's see the comments you guys send us during the live. Where did you stop it? Do you remember? This one is nice. Thank you, Aninha. Maria Socorro, Alane Lelson. Are you wonderful? Thank you. Maria Socorro says, tô com vontade de aprender inglês. And you should. It's gonna be fun. Like Anita says, it's never late. She's right. Go.
Yeah, that's that's the problem, of course, because when I was in England, I used to work as engineer, and of course, talking about engineering is very easy for me right now because that's the environment I was. But talking about politics, sometimes I miss some words. This is why I said to Alana, we need to start. Well, we need to start right now so we can develop, we can growth. I can growth my English. So in some time, I can be able to talk the news in English. It's very easy when you just read, but when you have to create in English and you don't have the words, it's really very difficult.
Yeah, but you're gonna grow together, so it's gonna be.
And the problem is after the live stream, Alana says to me that I'm talking too slow.
No, but it's a part of it. I understand. So, true. That was me. Verdade, Aninha. Eles são maravilhosos. Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys are so cute. Let's see. Oh, that's for you.
Luis said before here that the United States is not a good neighbor. I agree with that. It's a problematic neighbor. It wants to run the world, and that's a problem.
And you cannot call the police because they are the police. So.
They are the police of the world. They are more powerful than the international police. They run the Interpol. They run everything. So
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Yes, of course. Claro que sim. O negócio é correr atrás. NATO does not want competition coming from the global south. Exactly. They want to put they don't want to put the global south into NATO because they don't want to share their military power with the south. It was created as Warsaw Pact competition, Pacto de Varsóvia, em português. Maria Socorro, claro que dá. Você já tem 50% que é querer. Of course, that's a very important point. When you want to do something, 50% of doing is starting. We will get it, Leo, as Alana said. Yeah, I will reach there.
So, I'd like to thank everyone who was sharing this news with us tonight, this evening. Thank you for being with us, especially the ones who doesn't understand English. I know that must be very weird, but thank you.
Então, muito obrigado a todos vocês que ajudaram a gente aqui, dando esse suporte, principalmente vocês que ainda estão aprendendo inglês, como eu. E isso, obviamente, ajuda bastante, né? Porque a gente está começando esse projeto na esperança de alcançarmos pessoas fora do Brasil. Mas nesse primeiro momento, quem está dando a força para vocês, para nós, são vocês. Muito obrigado.